There's no rapture. Here we have Mars. We've reached the 62nd lesson out of 72. The cure for depression in one word. Today is a lesson in original psychology. Everything has to be original, right? There's no prayer. Water, oil, expelling demon, healing of illness, as if it were something sickly, spiritual, revelation, prophecy, treatment that churches provide. Do you doubt that the cure for such a serious problem of humanity isn't just one word? Do you doubt it? I will love it if you doubt. It's even good for you, doubt, but stay until the end. Who remembers the commander of 100 soldiers, the pagan centurion, who received the cure for someone he loved in just one word? Wasn't it the greatest faith in Israel? While the religious fasted 3 times a week and prayed 3 times a day, the pagan centurion simply recognized that it wasn't. Not by much speaking, nor sacrifice, but he made an effort. He went to Jesus with confidence and conviction that just one word. And most importantly, just one word, from a distance. It doesn't need to be under the same roof. It doesn't need to be close. Just the intention, the desire, the person he loved so much. And who is suffering would be healed. That is to say, faith transcends space. Is that it? That's why going to church is, in itself, a lack of faith. It seems like going to church is an act of faith, but it's an act of lack of faith. Because if I believe that I have to go there to save myself, save someone, or gain a benefit, I am already without faith. True faith would be if I had a libertarian, pagan thought of understanding that I don't even need to go there. Who has more faith? The one who gets closest to the altar, less distance, and prays the highest prayer more times. Better clothes, better voice, better lineage and ancestry. Or the one who said, I'm not even going to enter the temple. I'll stay outside. I'll talk to God right here outside. See, to God, that's it. While the Jews performed the ritual of the stirring of the waters, remember? The ritual of the miraculous waters, the ritual of the pool of Siloam, the ritual of the pool of Bethesda, campaigns and more campaigns asking for God's interventions and privileges. In lesson 61, you learned about God's mathematics, didn't you? Last lesson. But now you will understand even more about this mathematics. Look at all the stock exchanges created by the Jews with Solomonic wisdom. The entire financial market is binary, dual, because it is a shadow of the original projection, a copy of God's system. What is God's system? We will call it here the universal cosmological mathematics. God's system is the metaphysical and the physical copies. The metaphysical projects the physical. Isn't that right? In God's financial market, the more reserve, the more it demands, seeks. In the financial market of men, it's the same thing. Copy. The more stock and less demand, the lower the price will be. The less stock and more demand, the higher the price will be. Large supply, little demand, low price. High demand above supply. High price. So if supply is greater than demand, prices decrease. If demand is greater than supply, prices increase. The law of dual supply and demand is based on the universal cosmos of God. C. The world is financially governed by the dual law of supply and demand. Isn't it a pair of scissors? What governs finance isn't a pair of scissors. That being said, the churches are wrong. But why do you have to speak badly about the church? I'm not speaking badly, listen. Because churches are ecclesiastical businesses with a tax ID that have fallen into God's trap. What trap? Reveal. Churches prize sin because they make huge lists of what you can and cannot do, which is dogmatization. Dogmatization prizes sin because it increases the demand for sin. So, who is responsible for the high price of sin? The church, the very church that condemns all excess, reveals a need. Churches and religions increase the stock every time they perform repetitive prayers. Endless prayers, consecrations and continuous fasts, campaigns and vigils, penances, sacrifices. And thus, the reserve depreciates. The cause loses value, demand falls. And the reason for the services? Why? They gather, devalue. Churches and religions devalue the gospel because they cause Laodicean nausea. That's why there is such great religious dischurchism. Non-practicing religious people, as they have been recently called, strayed as they mistakenly call them, because the amount that is spoken, the same thing. Disregard, it remains. Preach the gospel, 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 Jesus, 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 Jesus. Churches lower the price of spirituality, the value of faith, because they repeat praises. Have you seen the amount of repetition in the songs? Repeat, repeat, repeat. In the past, it was just the chorus. Now it's repeated more and more in worship. Praise. It becomes a mantra. Religions also have mantras, rituals, liturgies. Even the titles and greetings in churches are repetitive. Brother, sister, pastor, female pastor. The peace of the Lord, the peace of Christ, the peace of God. Repetitive. Predictable. And how do I base myself on this? What do I base it on? Jesus made it clear. Those who will say, Lord, Lord, do you see? Repeated. Why, Lord? Twice. Because they are religious repeaters. It's clear that they are people who repeat the name of God all the time. They tire the Creator with their offerings. It's interesting, isn't it? The coincidence offers. Am I talking about the financial market now? Or about spirituality? It's the same thing. Supply and demand. Supply without demand. Your offers with large stock and no demand. The churches are empty because they have a large stock and no demand. The demand that fills the churches is false. It is mostly made up of self-interested people who swell and then quickly deflate as soon as they are frustrated by some. Truly. Finally, we arrive at the main point of this lesson. Churches increase depression in human beings instead of healing because they preach guilt. And guilt and fear generate depression because they make you look back. The government thanks the churches for the rich social work they promote. I do not thank them. I contest the protest. I am a Protestant of Protestantism. I doubt and ask. For an ecclesiastical correctional office to be opened to conduct an investigation, to see if the role of churches is truly fundamental in society and if the benefits outweigh the harms. How many churches are there in Sao Paulo? What is the gross and net worth of the churches, and why us? With so little strength, we will be at Largo de Aruxa every 6 months, then at Villa Paulista and Praca de Sé, doing work in spirituality, charity, and quantum. Spirit and spirituality. Why us? For us, organizing an event like this is a lot of money. For us, it's a lot. It's still a difficult reality. But for the churches, that would be nothing. Churches that bring in 1 million reais per service, just one church in Sao Paulo. They could transform everything. I ask, where are they? What do they do? The churches increase depression in humanity instead of healing it, because they preach greed and ambition, which leads to frustration, because there is no equality of opportunities in the world. And the few opportunities are for those who cut in line or revolve sovereignly. Only 2 ways to succeed in life. Either you are a corrupt person who cuts in line, or you have to evolve a lot. Sovereignly. It's easier to cut in line. So, an X never speaks ill of Brasilia. An X never speaks ill of the White House. Why don't we speak ill of the political system? We speak truths here and there, but why not? Because there it is, the social extract. They know the people who elected them, and they represent. This parliamentary representation is faithful. They are what the people are. From a very young age, mothers and fathers already teach their children to cut in line, to grab first, get ahead. Why? Oh, I never taught my children that way. But you love it when your children have an advantage. And if your children have an advantage at school, you don't even ask. Why? How? Like, for example, getting a good grade on a test. How? Did they study or cheat? So, from a very young age, things are like this. In this world. And if you didn't understand, all of this leads to depression. I don't understand. Professor, what does depression have to do with this? People preach greed. Ambire is the feeling of the internal Satan. What is ambire exactly in the original? To roam the earth and seek material to eat, to devour, to nourish oneself. This so-called lion, which sometimes represents Satan, sometimes represents Jesus, is our ego. Roaring, or seeking whom it may devour. It doesn't matter. These are metaphors to say ambition is always wanting to have more. But this more at what level? Do you remember Paul's letter to Timothy? Him saying, those who want to be rich fall into a trap. But we shouldn't want to be rich. We should enrich and spread, and then enrich and then spread. If you didn't understand, the physical points to the metaphysical. Both in matter, I have to enrich and spread, and in immaterial, I have to climb to the top and come back to help people climb and reach the place I climb. That is the meaning of life, and that's what cures depression. And that's what I will present. The Lethiae. Deep sadness? Yes. A very serious problem? Yes. Are we only dealing with depression in this class? No, we are talking about all the problems that are psychological reactionism of the 21st century. So, everything starts with the internal phrase, why was I born? I didn't ask to come into the world. I will pull this suffering out of you by 3 roots. There are 3 roots to be pulled out. Or there are 3 arms. But before that, I want to call upon you. I couldn't find it. Julio, Juniel, our clip. I couldn't find it, and we haven't made it available until today. I didn't ask to be born, sung by Marcio at the 12-year meeting of Espirito Santo. I only managed to find this clip here, and we're going to listen to a little snippet. Look at this song, how beautiful it is. The last year in the morning, like a good weekend. If I enjoy it, if why lose you?
Invited myself to go to church. I've felt forgave, but I still listened to reason and told him I apologize. And I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to give up. What's the meaning of life? Hey, we have to help each other. Everyone nearby, say what? Have to definitely help each other. The Roman brother, don't you wear it behind the wall.
So we are going to make it available and, in fact, reframe it. In the symphony, because I was born, I didn't ask to come into the world. Shall we uproot this suffering in 3 roots? First root of depression or any other psychological anomaly you are going through, any other. Popularity, stress, let's go. First thing that needs to be understood, first root, write it down, time. Time is made up of present, past, and future. I have always taught you. Those who are stuck in the past suffer from depression. Those who are stuck in the present suffer from stress. Those who are stuck in the future suffer from anxiety. But today I leave you with an even deeper understanding. Reveal. Fear paralyzes. So beyond the triad, time, space, and matter, the ego is a victim of fear, guilt, and greed. Fear, guilt, and greed. Fear paralyzes. Stress and anxiety make you go in circles. Why can't you be afraid? Fear paralyzes. And paralysis is not sanctification. It's non-production. It's burying talents. It's being useless. And useless things go to waste. Just trash. Hold on. I'm going to talk to you. This is not a self-help video. If self-help worked, you would already be cured. Depression makes you go backward. It's even worse. Because if fear paralyzes, depression makes you go back. It's the rearview mirror. Only balance can move us forward. This is the time you need to heal. The second root of depression or any other anomaly you're going through is self-awareness. Write down self-awareness. The first is time, the second is self-awareness. I hear so much about this. I've read Eastern books, Professor. What is it? No. Empty the cup. Listen, the first thing you need to know about self-awareness is which ego you are a victim of. Which ego are you a victim of? If you are a victim of the low ego, you always will be. Those with a low ego will die with a low ego. Those who are victims of the high ego will always have a high ego. The next class will be about how no one changes. The ego that always diminishes itself, melancholy, exaggerated, victimizes itself, always blames itself, even when it's not at fault. Prefers to take the blame. Assumes, confesses, accepts. Suffers from sincericide. Pombism. Do you know what pombism is? He doesn't know how to serpentine. They are the perfect person for the scam. They are the kind of person who shouldn't leave the house, because if they go out into the world as it is today, in the world of scams, it's you they like. Sextrism. What is sextrism? Sextrit. It's that conscience always accusing. It even gets to the point. Sextrit. You'd have to take one. A cerebrite has to take, I don't know, Cerebratrix. I don't know. There's a gastral, there's a cerebral, I don't know. Menthol. You have to take something to be like milk of magnesia. Milk of magnesia, what is it? What's the name of that mint? What's the name? That little mint remedy for gastritis? Estomazil, I don't know. The person suffers from sex street, and this is very serious, okay? And this leads to conspiracy. Conspiracism. This leads to isolation. Isolationism. Thus preventing your evolution. And then come the people who are victims of high ego. The ego that always exalts itself. That never blames itself. And this prevents your evolution. It's difficult for a person with a high ego to say mea culpa. You first need to know yourself. Something you haven't done your whole life. Even if you say you've read about it. And in self-diagnosis, be aware of what your devil ego is. What kind of inner enemy are we dealing with? What kind of inner enemy are you dealing with? So, what is self-knowledge? Isn't it just blah, blah, blah? Self-knowledge is knowing what I am a victim of. Professor, are you dismissing other authors, other books, and other people I've watched who talk about self-knowledge? Self-knowledge, in their view, is just to further feed your ego. The self-knowledge I present to you is not to feed your ego. I'm not telling you to know yourself and protect yourself. I'm telling you to know yourself and punch yourself. Professor, I have a low ego. I already do this all the time. It's what I do the most. I'm trash. I'm worthless. I'm good for nothing. Don't you understand that this is inverted ego? Low ego is inverted ego. It's Satan dressed as an angel. I didn't come here to spare you. Third root of depression or any other psychological anomaly you are going through. Origin, write it down. Origin. The first is time. The second is original self-awareness. The third is origin. What is the origin of everything? Where did your great sadness really begin? Anxiety, bipolarity, the need for sleeping pills, and all sorts of similar problems. Shall we understand? Reveal. You have to understand that our ontology, which is the matter of being, the study of being, is also mathematical, financial, divine. Professor, I'm not understanding. Listen well, I started with mathematics and I will continue with mathematics, because everything is mathematics. If we set a high price, we have a high ego. Did you understand? Now low ego and high ego, its price, its value, its mathematics. Professor, I'm not able to know myself. Do I have a low ego or a high ego? It's pure mathematics. A person with a low ego places little value on themselves. They sell themselves easily. They give in easily. They accept easily. They are easily deceived. They suffer for others. Professor Oraclio says here, let's think about the whole. She says, I've been doing that my whole life. Professor Oraclio says, let's have empathy. Oh, that's what I have the most. But the triad is, I love myself. First, to love your neighbor, where God is. What a person with a low ego lacks is raising their price. Understand? What a person with a high ego lacks is lowering their price. You're too expensive, my child. Arrogance makes us think we are worth a lot. The price is too high. My price is high. I am worth a lot. And you're not worth much. You're worth as much as everyone else. You loved hearing that, right, low ego? But you're also wrong. Because you're also worth as much as others. So stop thinking. You're the last item on the shelf. God didn't make you to be the last item on the shelf. If we set a high price, we have a high ego. And in doing so, we will stop thinking about others. And the consequences are the inhibition of the release of satisfaction hormones, increasingly deep sadness and depression. We were made to help others. When we are useful, we release more hormones than 1,000 gyms. What's the trend today? Go to the gym because it releases hormones and makes you happy. Yes and no. Nothing releases more satisfaction hormones than helping someone. More than 1,000 runs, more than 1,000 parties, more than 1,000 amusement parks and adrenaline, more than 1,000 concerts of the music we like. More than 6 months of vacation. The cure for depression. The cure for depression is in helping the... Therefore, if someone is depressed, they cannot be treated with pity, compassion, as everyone does. If this treatment were correct, everyone would already be cured. Pity doesn't cure. It only feeds even more the ego that caused the withdrawal and depression. When someone tells you they are depressed, you feel sorry for them, and then you stay up until the early hours, listening to them on the phone. And let me tell you, that's the same as giving a cream-filled pastry to someone with cancer. You see why people are always helping each other. Wow, I spent the whole day today listening to my friends. I'm feeling so good, I helped them, but it didn't help at all. Professor, but I listened. People with depression are not cured with pity. Professor, I disagree. Because I tried this type of treatment you just introduced to me, and my family doesn't want to talk to me anymore. And that person is part of the cure. She slammed the door. How wonderful. She said she never wants to hear the name Acquio again. How wonderful. Is it working? Man, ego, lack of collective mission, depression. Man, echo. Collective and social mission, self-fulfillment, the ancient Hebrew word. Bliss. What do you think the word bliss means? It is full social well-being. Social well-being. Full. To achieve this social good, you have to act. Full social well-being. You have to do what God wants us to do in existence. That's why we need to evolve to accomplish great works, build and leave legacies, and thus we will be fulfilled. Why do you think the teacher goes to external meetings and does unprecedented things? The idea is to set a record. Where does the motivation come from within me to create, co-create, and set an unprecedented record, something that no one has ever done? Where does the idea come from to build something and leave it, whether in text, video, or physical form? Because only constructions remain. Man, the pyramids. Noah's Ark. The Tower of Babel. There are a lot of small-minded people criticizing Nimrod, Semiramis, those idiotic conspirators. Nimrod. The Bible itself says, there was no wise man like him in those days. There was no hunter as good as he was, as talented as he was, because God gave him this ability. There it is written. What do you think? Do you think God looked down from above and said, "Cursed tower"? They made a technological pyramid to come up here, reach the clouds of the first heaven? I'm going to bring them down now. Then you watch. The Catholic movie, they go up. Nimrod takes an arrow and shocks God. In such a childish way, a lightning bolt comes from the sky and knocks them down. And that's how you learn the story of Nimrod. That's a lie. Can I tell you what happened with Nimrod? God likes so much. What Nimrod did so much in those times, without technology, without capability, that God said, I will create nations and languages. Now, because otherwise the world will be one end. It will ruin my entire plan. My plan was the sieve. My plan was duality, not unity. This man is managing to make the world one. It's not time yet, not even close. I will tell you. 3 moments in history when a man managed to achieve unity. Do you want to know? First moment. When Eve ate the fruit. Today I'm going to surprise you. Today I'm going to say, all churches demonize Eve. I adore Eve. Because Eve did what she was supposed to do. God was so happy with Eve, so happy. But, Professor, the Bible doesn't say that. In the Bible, it's a trap. But God was so happy that he said, I will have to take her out of the room. Because if I leave this woman in the room, she will find the treasure. Right on the other side, if she had the courage to go beyond what was written to eat the fruit, she also has the courage to reach the other fruit, and she will become divine. Like me. God didn't expel them because they were sinners. God expelled them because they were good. Too good. They were exes. Professor, I don't understand. It says you can understand everything wrong. It's written, read in your Bible. God placed cherubim, removed them from the garden. Otherwise, they would be gods. Do you know why? Because Adam and Eve were just two, but they were in Erade, in one body. It was the first time humanity reached Erade. Cain and Abel killed each other. But Adam and Eve were of one mind. Every time humanity reaches Erode, God has to intervene by making the devil. But not because he wants to make the devil, because he is unjust. It's because, in truth, he is applauding and saying, incredible. The second time this happened, where was it? Genesis 11. With Nimrod, the man everyone speaks ill of. The man who managed to unite humanity to build a tower that reached the heavens at that time. God looked and said, this unity is so great, so beautiful. Before the time I will have to create nations and languages. And then let us go down there and confuse their names. Now I'm going to pit them against each other because I'm hearing that he's too good. If I let it go a little longer, soon they'll discover everything. Or did you forget about the Truman Show? That every time Truman was about to discover the show, the program, the game, when he was almost leaving the Matrix, what did the great Christopher up there in the moon do? Interfered with the devil. Interfered by killing his father, distancing his wife, distancing the family, distancing the friend, creating a storm at sea so he wouldn't find the truth. But God doesn't want us to find it. You still don't understand. Cain's music has to rise. The music has to rise. After Adam and Eve, and after Nimrod and Semiramis. Look, Adam and Eve, Nimrod, and Semiramis. And do you know what the third time is? Now I'm going to tell you, heresies, all the greatest heresies I've ever mentioned. Do you know what was the third time God was pleased? Was pleased with man because he got there wrong? Philosophy, X. Waste, time thinking and suffering for someone. Did you know that's what's being said everywhere today? The new generation has replaced preachers, priests, sermons with young people of the same age giving advice as if they were wise, as if they were scholars. And out of nowhere, the person starts the video saying, I had an inspiration and I came here to share it with you. The inspiration is as follows. Don't suffer a cent for someone. Don't suffer for anyone, only for yourself. In Europe, it's already a crisis, philophobia. Fear of loving. I don't know if you remember, but Black Mirror warned that we will reach days when loving is synonymous with foolishness. Anyone who has watched the movie The Circle remembers that in that futuristic world, love was taken away from people. Chemically, the rulers of the world went there and removed all the love hormones. The hormones that are released when we love were extracted, and people no longer love. Then some people within that world start to remember having conscious fragments of when they loved, or of when their parents loved. And then that hologramming comes and starts to pursue this. And they are being pursued. Are you watching this movie? They are killing love because loving hurts. But only love generates evolution and satisfaction. The new generations think that by avoiding helping others and suffering for others out of pure ego reactionism, they will be happy. However, what they will find are just peaks of joy. And addicted to these fleeting hormones, they will have to renew these peaks. This week, a 22-year-old young woman, I'm going to take a selfie at a spot on a 22-story building in Balneario Camboriú. And she fell from up there. If you haven't understood yet, although it's unfortunate, it's the spirit of this generation that soon will have the phone in their glasses, in the lens, and in the brain button. And they will be easily run over at any moment. They will fall from every possible place in their selfies. But what does the selfie have to do with all this, Professor? Stop judging others. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. You will understand. To be able to renew these peaks, you need money. Look, I don't think about others. I only think about myself. And if I think about myself, I need hormones, happiness. But the happiness hormones are in helping others. And if I don't help others and only think about myself, I don't have those hormones. And the only way to have those hormones is by having ephemeral pleasure. But those hormonal peaks of pleasure need money. Have you ever stopped to pay attention to what a story is? A story is the remarkable moments and achievements of your life. Food, man. Clothes, man, a place I haven't been, a place I wanted to go for a diploma. A special moment. Because, by 2030, the lords of the world are planning for people to pay more for experiences than for material things. In the next 5 years, we will undergo such a significant transformation that people will have experiences. And no longer. They will have a car, but they will rent a car. The car will be autonomous, flying. I no longer have a house, I have an Airbnb. Nothing is mine anymore. The new generation doesn't want to conquer anything anymore, they just want to live experiences. And then I record the experiences on the camera. Look, just my collection of experiences. How much did I enjoy this year? Here. But, to live. That carousel of experiences. How much did it cost? Have you ever stopped to think about how much money young people in the new generation will have to spend to create a new collection of experiences? Your generation saved money, economized, even paid for the electricity they were using, ate even a cheaper hot dog to be able to buy a car and a house. This new generation only thinks about experiences. Peaks of joy. Do you know what the problem with the peak of joy is? It's that you're going to hurt. Don't turn it off. It's for your own good. You have become a addict. In a world with fewer and fewer opportunities, where robotics, AI, universal income, and global unemployment are coming, will depression go? Why do you think I'm re-recording the class? 62 in the color of depression? Because what there will be most now is depression. 70% of the world will be unemployed. You have no idea how much this class will help people and people and people. You have no idea. If they have money, they will accept being corrupted to profit from the naivety of others. I will find someone with low ego to deceive. And there are, right? Because half of the people are born with low ego, half are born with high ego. So, on the street, every two. One is a trickster, one is a victim, one is prey. Listen well, without money, I don't need money to relive that high, to release that hormone and feel that drug again. I don't need cocaine. I don't need marijuana. I don't need alcohol. I just need stories. But stories are expensive. And do you want me to tell you? Much more expensive than cocaine. Because each little photo and video I make for stories cost how much? That moment. No one takes stories of poor things. You only take stories of rich, expensive, difficult things. Rare, priced moments. Isn't that right? Valued. Listen well to what I'm saying. Then you need money. But you don't have money, my child. You're a worker who earns little. Then you'll accept being corrupted. To profit off of whom? Someone. And whose name are you going to use? Jesus? Are you going to quote a psalm? Oh, after you scam someone and get the money for your peak of pleasure, that's it. By saying a prayer. Without money, they will be like addicts in search of hormones, of fleeting pleasures, escaping reality, until they encounter it, in the worst possible way, when chaos arrives. Without money, there's no way to pay for the fleeting hormonal highs. Do you see that the math doesn't add up? Do you see that this account doesn't balance? So, who will they ask? You, X. It's to you that they will ask for money to support their addiction. Believe it or not, but those people who can't stand to hear the voice of Acre, nor your voice, it's you they will ask for money. And that's the moment for you to present the lesson. 62. Say, I'll give you the money for your pleasure high, but first, you're going to watch this lesson here. There are people listening to me now saying, Professor, are you talking about children, teenagers, and young people? I wish it weren't so. But what we have the most are people aged 40 to 90 who say, my generation wasn't good, it was imprisoned. And now I want to live like my granddaughters and my children. And what we have the most are people from 40 to 90 years old living this same behavior. As if they were young. Isn't it sad? In the photos, they're always smiling, but the emptiness is intermittent. It comes and goes dually, after the euphoria. The dysphoria, created by God for everyone to seek the truth of existence. Why is there dysphoria after euphoria? Aletheia, the meaning of life. Then you say, what a bipolar person. No, we are all born with a circuit breaker. Who remembers? We have a dichotomized brain. All our organs are bipartite. All our organs are bipartite. All animals are bipartite. We are born flexible. We are born with a circuit breaker. The reason for life is aletheia. The meaning is to unify. Wrong. Unify. Unify. That's why when you see a bipolar person, they don't suffer from having bipolar disorder. They are just involved. Every person is bipolar, born bipolar, but they evolve and master their bipolarity. Now, a person who hasn't evolved will remain bipolar in this unevolved behavior forever. Childish, sometimes even animalistic. Behavior sometimes even animalistic. Depending on the evolution, animalistic. Depending on the evolution, childish. So, it's not that they are bipolar, it's that they were in euphoria and went to dysphoria. This happens to all of us. It's just that for the evolved person, when they go from euphoria to dysphoria, nothing changes for them. Now, for the unevolved, it changes abruptly. They can't handle this change and become aggressive, rebellious. They go smoke. They go isolate themselves. From time to time, tears, they take photos, profiles, disappear. Isn't that right? Are you going to say it's not like that? Today, talking to someone out of nowhere, where's the photo? Gray. They lock themselves up, forbid others from discussing the matter, and seek advice from people more involved too. With all due respect, but an ex can't keep taking photos like that. Unless your profile is set up, stop with this thing of taking photos. I'm sad about taking photos. Then the photo comes back. This is an egotistical behavior. Diabolical. Childish. Parents always make mistakes. The school makes mistakes. The church makes mistakes. The government makes mistakes. The ex can't make mistakes. First, parents make mistakes because they simply don't talk and don't value the symptoms of depression that their children show, like cutting themselves, for example, locking themselves up, or having multiple crises of crying, crises that never end, and parents don't value them. Conservative, military, fundamentalist, insensitive thinking. They don't care. The signs. But there's the 1.2. Parents who do talk also make mistakes, because they are not evolved enough to talk or to teach the truth to their children with wisdom, as I have always said. There are courses for everything except for being a parent. Schools make mistakes because teachers are under an educational system of failed books and methods. And when they bring up the topic, depression, it's like this. As I will talk about shortly in point 4 about the government before, churches make mistakes because they treat psychological problems as demons, spiritual issues, or lack of discipline. And the government makes mistakes because it spends millions on advertising campaigns about systems. But they employ professionals who will only prescribe medications to sleep, numb, and try to forget the pain. That's why I said to uproot time, self-knowledge, and origin. We cannot be like that. Almost everyone makes mistakes because the first thing they think of is to give their full attention to this person. Posing. No. With love, all the love, this person first needs to know that within them resides the ego, which is their devil. That evolves as they evolve. And without this awareness of confrontation, and without accepting this reality that they need to beat down their ego and accept treatment with strict advice, pastoral guidance, and truths that are hard to hear, they will never get out of the disorder they are going through. It can only be cured with surgery, with bleeding. Reveal. Friends, who mostly only have the title of friend, parents of religious idols will only feed their ego with even more false expectations. What do these people we say we love do to us? Feed more false expectations. The whole problem with the ego is at its origin. Now it's going to hurt even more. Your dreams were made of illusion outside of reality. Your dreams are based on the non-acceptance of the reality you were born into. The whole problem with this current generation. Depression, the ailment of the 21st century. Why? Why, after the year 2000, so much depression? Why? It's burnout. I have the acronym SUCH, the number SUCH. I suffer from the problem. 72 types of digits of characters for identifying disorders. Listen. This generation suffers because they don't accept the reality they were born into. Dad, I love you. Mom, I love you. But deep down, I wished I had been born into a better family. No, you know what? I love my parents so much that I wouldn't even want to have been born into another family. They are so good to me. And to be honest, what I really want is to make a lot of money to make them happy. But to get them out of this reality, stop trying to take your parents out of reality. This is the reality, my child. I want to make a lot of money to give this and that to my mom and dad. Forget about it. Did you see that? Did you notice that job? And today is absolute antagonism. That job is based on accepting life as it is. The meaning of things, accepting. Evil, accepting. And today we live the absolute opposite. It's pure Satan today. Man is at his peak of estrangement, of complete apostasy. The ego does not want to accept God the Father, his humble origin, isn't it? Although they say they love the family, they would like to not have been born the way they were. And what about the rich? I'm not talking about wealth. Here I might be talking about humility, but I'm not. It's always not accepting where they were born, how they were born. The non-acceptance of one's origin, body, life, mind is the origin of all evils. Dream, evolve, grow, always, always, but do not aim to reach the top, because you will never climb it. Your devil and the devil of others will curse Professor Acquio now, saying, "What did this man say?" You have to dream. Yes, turn that off. Yes, you have to dream. But never outside of your reality. Above your reality, above your reality. But achievable, write it down, achievable. Always climbing, always growing, but achievable. You wake up, godparents tell you to have ambition in life. What are you going to be, my son? What are you going to do, my son? Have you done it? Have you gone? You go to work and their conversation is about ambition and achievements, internal disputes, and about who they are going to take down now. You go to lunch, the conversation at the restaurant is about ambition. You return to work, then go home. At home, you turn on Netflix, Insta, TikTok, and the like, and you are bombarded by people preaching ambition and achievements. Movies and stories. Movies and stories of people who had nothing. Nothing was going right, but they changed their lives and succeeded with ostentation and luxury. Then you say, "Wow, this life is exhausting. It's just frustration. It's just frustration. I'll go to church." Then you arrive at church. The leaders teach you to think big, to dream of utopias that you will never reach. And if something is going wrong, just pray, because God has the best for you. And if it hasn't come to you, there must be something wrong. Because in your brother's life, next to you, it worked out. Then you go back home. Then at home, your father says, "See your brother?" Your brother achieved something that you didn't. Then your mother says, "See your sister? She married the best son-in-law I could have. And you still have nothing." What a life, huh? What a hell, huh? It's even understandable why people are depressed, right? Why are people depressed? Frustration, 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 frustration. Let's be honest. Let's be honest, sir. Let's be honest. If I, Professor Ack, have always taught you to be prepared for everything, to always be prepared for the best scenario and the worst scenario, isn't it? It's because now there's emotion, right? You're feeling the presence of God, right? What nonsense. Let's grow up, let's. So, if I prepare you and I prepare myself for the worst and the best, see with me, don't look at this. This is faith. What I don't see, I foresee. I anticipate and prepare myself. If all of you who are here prepare yourselves to reach level 1000, knowing that the worst of all would be without. When you reach 200 or 900, you will be at ease. You won't be depressed. But when you wake up, parents, work, friends, family, the church, even Netflix. If everything bombards you like this, Then they say 1,000. And the only thing you prepared for is 1,000. There is so much emotional unpreparedness today that even if a person reached 900, they would be frustrated. Didn't I tell you once here about a woman crying in Balneario Camboriú, as I was told? At the time, a couple of students told me that a woman was crying in a hair salon because she had a purse worth 40,000 reis, but her friend had received a much more expensive purse. And that her friend's husband, therefore, loved her much more than her own husband did. Because her husband had the means, and for him, it was nothing to give such a purse. Then you might say, professors, this is out of my reality. I understand, this is horrible. It's easy to say this is horrible. It's easy for all of you to say this is horrible. 99% of you will say it's horrible. But you are no different from this purse issue. Your frustration is the same. Have you noticed that the ego, the inner devil within us, always says, like this, but you could give something better. You want to test someone. You want to test someone. Give one person 100 reis and then give 50 to the next. Isn't it true? Invite 2 people you love to your home. Give 100 reis to the first one and then say, come here, you too, I love you too. Here's your gift, 50. And keep watching. That's why I say, what right do you have to talk about the woman with the purse? After church, the person turns on Lux Maya Alex with the Aquio and comes across this lesson. And then? We are in days where loving is foolishness. We are in days where cheating is normal. We are in days where thinking of oneself is considered smart. We are in days where hearing truths is hearing words that are negative. We will be in days where speaking truths will be considered religious harassment. Look at this advice here. Stop trusting people with your life. Foolish people. Stop hanging out with people less evolved than you. Be surrounded only by people who are equal to or better than you. Your spiritual psyche is full of energy like a candle, a lamp, a full cup. That must first live to take care of itself, refill, replenish. Second, once replenished, take care of others. What is the synthesis of the entire Bible, the entire Torah Tanakh? I love myself, to love my neighbor where God is. So those with low ego ends up only taking care of others. And what will happen to them? If they take care of themselves, they will be empty and depressed. If they take care of others, they will also become empty and will no longer be able to be useful overall. So, stop thinking only about yourself. Suffering is a sign of evolution. Tears of recognition of your ego are signs of promotion. If you are crying now, recognizing your ego, that is promotion. That is evolution. Now, tears of frustration from your unattainable dreams are signs of depression. And depression is a consequence of your wrong view of the world. I dare to say that depression is God's extra hand on your conscience, throwing you into the abyss because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Professor, I came here to be healed and you're blaming me even more. I am. Ridiculous. There will be people who will go now. That's the cure. No one changes. Want to get out of the pit? Get out. Do you know why? Because from God, either God is just or God is not. If God made tests greater than our capacity, then God is unjust. And if God made tests smaller or larger, if they are smaller, if they are inferior, if our capacity is beyond the tests, then God is unjust. We are here in a dilemma. Don't come telling me that we are weaker than the problems. Because if we are weaker than the problems, then God is unjust. Then we shouldn't even believe in God. Then his creation is not perfect. If there is a creator, and there is, because it is signed in everything, even in the voice of one's own conscience, if there is a creator, and there is, because he speaks here inside, even if I don't call him by any name, none by name, none nor church, none nor religion, none, because I was never of any religion, but the voice is here inside. Fox Day. Should I distance myself from negative people and things? Look, just this here. There is a misunderstanding about this. What if the negative energy is in truths that my ego doesn't want to hear? No. You don't have to distance yourself. The negative is your cure. For example, this class today here is negative energy for many people. But it is your cure. I was once with a person to whom I spoke truths, and they reacted like this. They reacted and said, I'm not ready to hear truths. Then I said, I don't understand. Do you want lies? I want them now, for this moment, I do. If the negative energy is caused by negative people or things from others' regression, which contribute nothing to your evolution, then yes, you need to distance yourself. So, be careful with this confusion. Oh, what negative energy? Negative energy is when the people close to us are regressive and contribute nothing to us. But being around these people will only drain your energy. Now, if we are hearing something we don't like, it's not always something bad. Sometimes we don't like it because it's doing us good. Feeling sad? Go to the beach to discharge the negative energy. Walk on the sand, walk on the earth, barefoot. Remember this saying? Feeling happy? Go to a high mountain, enjoy the view and recharge your energy. Professor James. Tiago said if you're sad, pray. If you're happy, sing. Today I say. Level 0. Sea level. Why does the sea have salt and why is the sea at level 0? For us. Discharge. The salt discharges. Go see the function of salt in electricity. And the mountain, the altitude because. Enjoy the view, recharge your energy. This is so serious that I, here in my garden, always observe. You can buy any plant and care for it with all the love and use the best fertilizer at the right time, in the right way. And water them with the best water. These plants will not grow and will die if they don't have the right altitude. There are plants for 0 altitude. There are plants for more than 500 meters of altitude. It's not the water. It's not you. It's not the earth. It's not the sun. It's where. There is vegetation for cold and heat. There is vegetation for 0 atmospheric pressure. Do you know what that means? It means that God made the energies. That's why we are discontent. You go to the beach, which is a mountain. You go to the mountain, which is a beach. Because we need all the energies. Reveal. Never use the word again. I will try. I don't want to hear any X. Using the verb try. And if you do, correct yourself immediately. Because that word has a hypnotic energy of never succeeding. To give you an idea, almost all hypnosis techniques require words. Like I will try, but also don't be fate. Overly positive and sane. Who always says, it's already mine, I claim it, it already worked out, the victory is mine. Stop that. Be realistic. Wish. Achieve. Wish for prayer. Faith. Achievement. Achieve. Materialize. Build. That is having faith. When a person of faith says, I'm thinking of doing, a construction is already being born there. But people without faith can say whatever they want because words have no power. But, Professor, you just mentioned the verb try. The verb try itself has no power. The word has no power. But the fact that you chose this word reveals how your mind is spiritually. And if you used it, it reveals that in your consultation. For your consultation, you still haven't managed to overcome yourself. It's not the word that has power. It's that the choice to use it reveals what mental state you're in. Anderson Tiago. Who is in the chat now? Ricardo Rocha. Maria Luisa, I ask you, 3. Are you going to the meeting in Sao Paulo now? Are you going to the meeting in Fortaleza? I will try. When a person responds, I will try, she won't go. So it's not the word. It just came out, revealing what's inside. It's that there's no effort for it. Cursed is the man who trusts in himself. That's the original. Where is the cure for depression or any similar problem? Where is it? Jesus always said, turn up the volume. What I will also tell you today. Go. Your faith has saved you. What is it that heals? Here, I conclude with a paragraph from one of the oldest classes of X. Your faith has saved you, not God. How so? Because every time Jesus healed someone, he would say, go. Your faith has saved you. Your faith. So, is the cure for depression just one word? Wrong. Misleading title. Because you can heal from depression without any word. If you thought one word was too much or too little, in the next class 63, which is a continuation of this class, you will learn about physiognomy, 72 types of people, the Enneagram, original visagism. Your material appearance reveals who you are. And also the class Nobody Changes, they only reveal themselves. All these classes together are actually 3 classes combined. Physiognomy is within original psychology. Because if today we talked about low ego and high ego, we will continue to discuss it. This is part of healing, and the healing that involves self-knowledge. I finished. Class 60. Oh. Quantum. Quantum. And then Iago looked and said, "What class, Professor?" Then I finished the class on martiology, soteriology, sin. I didn't like God either. Then Eliasman said, "What class, Professor?" Today, class 62, the cure for depression, original psychology. I'm already seeing it here. Look at that. What a class, Professor. Just don't forget that no matter how much you identify more with one, you need all of them. Don't forget that, because our ego also tricks us, saying that we only need some of them. Understood? 1260. Missions of the sent emissaries, because Paul is saying the following: when the Lamb unsealed, there's no raptured here. Here we have Mary,